This is the neighborhood of the poor, Athena, where the riots began. The death of a 13-year-old boy was not the start of social conflict, but this heinous incident truly fueled the anger of the Athena community. Abdi is the elder brother of the boy and also a National Guard security worker. He hopes that the police who beat his younger brother to death in the video will be justly punished, while also hoping that the people in the Athena community can remain calm. Abdi is caught between the grief of losing a loved one and his loyalty to the nation. However, his second older brother, Kareem, who also holds influence in the Athena neighborhood, does not share this concern. He couldn't wait to unleash his rage. A few moments later, we will launch the evacuation here. Kareem leads the youth to storm the police station, intending to destroy everything. To prevent this from escalating further, the police, apart from holding their shields, can do little else. The fire hoses are weapons in the hands of the teenagers, who see the weapons they looted from the police station as spoils of war. They are elated, shouting that they have turned the police station upside down, as if they have conquered the world. After ravaging the police station, Kareem takes his people back to the headquarters, the Athena neighborhood. It has become a complete battlefield, with people stealing clothes from some club's football team to make makeshift armor. He said the new uniform gives them the air of an army. Some have even taken fire hoses and bulletproof vests from the police station. His name is Jerome, a riot control officer. The entire riot control team follows Jerome's lead for the next steps. Amidst the smell of gunfire, the fervent youths loudly chant the name of their neighborhood, Athena. What the riot control team has to do is to quell this riot of the poor under the situation without using lethal weapons. If we were to ask who hated this riot the most in this neighborhood, it would definitely be the drug dealer Muda. He knew that sooner or later these kids would surrender. The riot control police will conduct a neighborhood search, and by then, the drugs he hides in his house will be impossible to conceal. Luckily, Muda has decent relations with some of the police, and they agreed to find a way for the drug dealer to survive. But these little rascals left no room for the drug dealer. The blockade was extremely tight. Usually, when these kids saw Muda, they took detours. The riot had just begun and already the dynamics had changed. They dared to rush in and snatch the bag from the drug dealer's hand. With no other option, Muda could only hide inside his own bar. Being caught between the third force was the most difficult. On one hand, he didn't receive the acknowledgement of his friends. On the other hand, the riot police didn't see him as one of their own, creating a series of frictions leading to conflicts. Kareem was too smart for his own good. He wanted to throw a bomb back to the old spot, but ended up injuring his own hand. He quickly ran back home to bandage the wound. On TV, a significant news report was broadcasting that the killers of Kareem's younger brother were not the police but extremists posing as them to incite internal conflicts. Perhaps this news was true, but it no longer mattered to Kareem. The anger that took away his younger brother could not be taken back. This anger, combined with indiscriminate and deceitful acts, only incinerated everything close. The conflict continued, and they, just because they had pushed back the riot control team, cheered, but some people also began to question the news they were seeing. Kareem was raging with emotional turmoil but still decided to trust, but this was just a lie from the reporter. If they couldn't use chaos to prompt the government to act, then let it take one more step forward. As the night fell, the riot police launched another attack. Climbing the ladders into the neighborhood, our vision turned back to Jerome. They moved forward in the smoke, using iron rods and tear gas to rescue their colleagues. Jerome always looked uncertainly at everything in front of him. We could even see through his protective glasses, the fire in his eyes. He pulled the binoculars closer to reveal all the riot police along with their shields. It looked like pieces on a chessboard about to charge towards death, while the teenagers firing resembled hungry wolves. Kareem descended slowly as if he were the king of the pack here. If he threw the first firebomb at the police station to create the riot, the second firebomb became what made this riot uncontainable. The police fell into a perilous situation and began to run amok, and the film escalated from this point. In the thick smoke, only Jerome was left directionless on the ground, like a lost deer unable to find its way home. The wolves were screaming frantically. Jerome needed to take off his typical police clothes and think of a way to run out of this wolf pack's residence. But the complex shape of the Athena commune made him unable to find direction, so he kept wandering aimlessly in here. Being discovered was a matter of sooner or later. No one knew why Jerome didn't shoot. Maybe he didn't want this to get more serious, or maybe he now thought that shooting wasn't the right choice. The drug dealer was extremely angry. As the riots escalated, the policeman who sided with him had no way to set foot on this land. The only thing he thought of was to dig a big hole and bury all the drugs in it, but doing so would only make him angrier. Once the police take over the Athena commune, all his drugs will have to say goodbye. Second brother Kareem sent a hero kidnapping movie. The person in charge hoped that Abdi could bring the police into the commune and lead them to rescue the hostages. But this eldest brother had his own plans. Before he was a soldier of France, he was someone's son, the older brother of two teenagers. So he ignored the police's objections and returned to the Athena commune. Abdi's prestige was far greater than his younger brother's, so he easily found the police hostage's cell. Here Kareem became completely resentful of his brother. These two men both loved their lost brother very much. The difference is that some people choose to restrain themselves, Some people choose to light the fire of revenge. Luckily Abdi was able to save people in the end. The irony is that Jerome took off his police uniform and was shot in the leg by his crazy comrades, facing the resistance of the riot police, facing the chase and killing of his younger brother Karim. The two of them could only move to the inside of the commune. This place was Muta's residence. Police, soldiers, and drug traffickers, to avoid rioters, created a strange atmosphere in this small room. Abdi and Muta quickly found a way out. The drug dealer needed to move the drugs. Jerome also needs to be rescued. This way, the police can use the excuse of helping Muta to return to the commune. On the surface, he was able to return to save the good people and hostages, but behind the scenes, he was able to transport a large amount of drugs out. The plan looked extremely perfect, but they let in an unknown factor, which was Karim. He was completely fierce with his brother. To take back the hostages again, Karim decided to sacrifice Abdi. He threw the fire pot into Muta's compound, at which point the mother left to call her son. After Karim patiently answered, he turned off the phone and began ordering his subordinates to attack this compound. This was the last message he had for his brother. 3 seconds later, if Abdi didn't open the door, Karim's firebomb would burn down this room. At this critical moment, both the police and the drug dealer were closing in. From creating the riot to losing control, Karim had already used 2 firebombs. So, what extent would the third firebomb he used push the riot to? Stop, get down, quickly lie down for me, Abdi shouted at Karim. The bullets fired by the police might not have been lethal, but the flames finally made Karim, who was furious, fall into calm. Losing a younger brother caused Abdi to vacillate between family and loyalty. Now, losing another sibling made this National Guard begin to question what he had always defended in the end. Abdi followed in his younger brother's footsteps and initiated Riot 2.0. When a soldier was cultivated to raise the banner of riot, everything changed. No one could open the stolen police weapon cabinet in the station. Abdi knew this terrorist could. If the fireworks and firebombs were just playthings, then the lunatic with the soldier would make the riot reach an uncontrollable level of danger. This soldier conveyed his final message to the government. In an instant, Abdi wanted to see the 3 policemen who killed his younger brother standing in front of him, or else he would collect the bodies for Zarin. The lunatic easily opened the weapon cabinet. Once the fireworks turned into lethal weapons, Athena would welcome a storm of blood and death. On the other end, Abdi's communication with the police was not favorable. The one who killed his younger brother was not the police, but the terrorists. The government couldn't meet Abdi's conditions. The residents of the Athena neighborhood had all evacuated, so the authorities wouldn't negotiate with anyone anymore. So no matter how angry Abdi was, it didn't matter. The nation seemed to have abandoned the neighborhood and its inhabitants completely. Faced with such despair, Abdi could only aim his gun at Jerome's head, taking a desperate last resort. But even so, the person in charge on the other end of the line refused his request. They emphasized once again that the youngest brother wasn't killed by the police. Thus, they fundamentally had no one to hand over to him. After a few shots, this soldier had maintained his final limit. He wasn't a terrorist, nor a murderer. He couldn't harm the innocent. These violent youths suddenly left the apartment, because the lunatic was preparing to level this place. Civilization and law couldn't stop the criminals, but a lunatic easily put an end to this riot. It was a provocation to what extent? The rebellious teenagers who were defiant earlier now raised both hands, kneeling on the ground shirtless. For them, this was just a game that was now over. But Jerome, from within this riot, perceived the deep-seated desperation. As the lunatic prepared all the gas canisters for the explosion, the reporter was talking about the conflict named the Civil War in France. In the hearts of everyone, there was a spark, but Abdi's inner being was as cold as the snowflakes flying outside the door. In his house, he had 3 younger brothers. One died at the hands of a rebel, one at the hands of crime and corruption, and the third was himself, dying in despair for the country. The review of the Athena movie ends here. See you in the next film. Subscribe to my channel to not miss any exciting videos.